the likes of Nick Tronsky, Andy Fryer, and James Wolfensberger put Eastern Connecticut on the map through their exploits in Duckpin Bowling's Eastern Classic, the longest running and most prestigious tournament the sport has to offer. This year marks the 85th edition of the Eastern Classic. Over the years, Duckpin Bowling has undergone changes big and small. Even the venue of the Eastern changed, moving 1 mile down Route 32 in 1968. But Duckpin bowlers have always been able to rely on one thing: the annual Eastern Classic. Over the years, the legends of Duckpin Bowling have cemented their places in this sport's history by winning the Eastern Classic. Tronsky, Fryer, Wolfensberger, Farrant, Lavers, Pierce, Wogemuth, Cabral, Pelletier, Piles, the greatest of all time. Who will join this elite group this year? You have 12 games, gentlemen. Let's see what you've got.
Hello, and we are back with Duckpin TV's coverage of the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. Jim Kaufman here. We're at Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield, Connecticut. And you're watching Jesse Deach in his 4th game of his first 6-game block. We're in the middle of shift 3 here. And as you can see scrolling at the bottom, our leading scores, Jesse actually sits 6th second. Eric Leteska is leading with 466. Jesse with 455. Luke Robicelli 11 pins behind Jesse, 444. Kyle Shaw, 437. And I'm sitting here in the booth with a guest commentator. We have Miles Kincannon, great bowler from Connecticut, out in the Torrington-Winsted area.
Yeah. Did most of my bowling, though, in T-Bowl in Manchester, also Holiday.
Yeah, Holiday and T-Bowl. I know personally I saw you bowl plenty between those two houses, as well as here at Lucky Strike Lanes.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending some time with us tonight. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's a lot of fun here.
Yeah.
I missed the game. I say I have a bad knee now, but I like to talk. I come by and talk with the fellas, the new guys, and plus my old buddies from the old tour. And it's a lot of fun.
I just heard you talking with Tom Clausen.
Yeah, Tommy Clausen.
We're living some
good friend.
Some of the good times there. And
yeah. We got glory days, as Springsteen would say.
There you go. So, what's your impression so far? The little bit that you've watched bowling this evening of the tournament this year.
I think I've been watching this Jesse Deach. He's number 1 in the country. I bowled with his grandfather.
Oh wow!
Years ago.
Was it James or was the grandfather?
It was Jimmy.
Jimmy
and Jackie.
Gotcha. Oh, right. Jackie was his
wife. Yeah.
Right.
And then his father bowled with him on the tour,
Dale. Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. Nice family.
Great bowlers. Good people.
Good bowlers. Oh yeah. And Johnny DePalma bowled with him for years on the tour.
Yeah, he's on the screen now here on lane 13.
Johnny,
He's
good guy.
proprietor of a center up in North Chelmsford, Mass, I believe.
Chelmsford.
There we go.
Yes.
Up in the Boston area.
And 1976 Frank
Eastern
Barber
Classic.
Eastern Classic winner.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the
I think
one of
he's
the two returning champions in the field tonight.
And I think he's a two-time Pro Tour winner. I know
he is.
So yeah, Johnny, tough.
Quite the resume.
Yes,
quite the resume. And speaking of resumes, we were talking about yours a little earlier. You're also a Pro Tour winner, and you told me you finished everywhere, unfortunately, but the top here at the Eastern, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Wow. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that time that you finished second?
Well, the time I finished second, Scott Walgamuth set the world record, which is still held to this day with 2066. I shot 1924, which would have won the tournament the 2 years prior and the 2 of the 3 years after. I just picked the wrong year.
The right score at the wrong time.
I scored the wrong time.
The wrong bowler who just happened to be setting a world record at the same time that you broke 1900.
It was quite a weekend. Like I said, I bowled 1,023 for my opening block.
Wow.
And I was still 24 pins behind him.
Wow. How did you feel after that? What was your thoughts?
I felt pretty good until I saw the next day he shot 1,000 again.
Wow.
And I came in. I had almost 900, 890 something. But I said, well, I did my best. And
we just caught on the stream zoomed in footage of your son-in-law, Luke Robustelli, breaking up the 7-8 for a strike.
Luke's throwing the ball very good right now. He feels comfortable. He's loose. I like the way he's throwing the ball.
He's sitting third right now on the shift with 444. And he has, with that strike now, he has 87 plus in the seventh. So a little bit of work to do to get back up on that 150 pace. Here's a replay of that strike as we zoom in. Heavy in the 1-3.
Good pin action there.
Yep. The 7 got kicked out, and then we had a messenger take out the 8.
Yep. But the scores are a lot lower than they were in the past, but I understand why. Because
it's a combination of a couple of things. I think it's the scoring here in Lucky Strike in general is not what it used to be, and the depth of the field, unfortunately, is not what it used to be.
It's not what it used to be, yeah.
There's still a lot of great bowlers, but maybe just not in the same numbers that we had 10, 20, 30 years ago.
We were talking back in the 80s when you could go average 151, 152, and not make the cut.
Right. It was a Wheaton Triangle, you said, down in Maryland?
Wheaton Triangle. I had 15-14 the first shift and finished 37th.
Yeah. So, realistically, it's kind of early to tell this weekend, but it's probably going to be just over 1,800 would be my guess, unless someone really busts out a big score. But it's probably going to be in the low 150s, the average you'll need to win the tournament this year.
Yeah, I think myself it's going to be somewhere in the low 1,800s, like you said, unless somebody just happens to catch fire, and that can happen. I remember watching the Nick Tronsky Open one time at Holiday Lanes. George Pelletier finished his second shift 1660 for 10 games, sitting on top of the world, thinking he's got $1,000 in his back pocket. Jeff Ferran came in and shot 1760.
And that was the world record, and still is the world record, I think, for 10 games. Still is the
world record for 10 games, 1760. Phenomenal.
Oh, lost by 100 pins.
Imagine averaging 166 and losing by 100 pins. That's the scary part about that. There were some amazing scores thrown, on the Pro Tour. Absolutely amazing scores.
Well, we already had one great game thrown tonight. Eric Leteska with a 206 his second game.
Yeah.
A 4-timer towards the end of that game to break over the 200 plateau. Yeah. And the way that our camera set up, we're going to be able to take a look at a couple of the top bowlers here. 3 of the top 4 bowlers. We've got Luke Robustelli in the camera right now. I believe on the pair to his left, Kyle Shaw is waiting in the wings. And then a pair to the right of Luke, we have Jesse Deach. So. Yeah.
And they're right up about the same time, so they're right on their pace. It's like nobody's holding them back up. And all of them, the 3 of them are throwing the ball well.
So
both Deach and
I didn't want to bring up that story of you finishing second without bringing up the story of how you followed up.
Oh yeah, I did.
The next time you bowled here at Lucky Strike.
The next time I bowled here the tournament is the last weekend in February, the first weekend in March. In May, I came back that same year and won the Pro Tour. So
there you go.
A little redemption.
And who did you beat?
I beat Ron Pelletier,
who is a multiple-time Eastern Classic champion,
and he's a 4-time Pro Tour winner. If I'm not
I think even more than that.
More than that, yeah.
Jesse Deach with a good ball. A little bit light in the 1-3, leaves just the 5-pin.
He needs to get rolling here, though. He's struggling a little bit this game.
63 after 5.
What a nice ball he throws, I tell you.
Yes, number 1 in the country last year, 150 average.
And I can see why. Like I said, he's accurate, throws a very nice ball.
Smooth delivery. We were comparing him a little bit to Eric Leteska earlier, but left definitely a little more giddy up in his ball than Eric has in his.
Yeah. A little bit bigger in stature.
True.
Come on, there's Luke. You're not supposed to root as your commentator.
You're a guest commentator. You can do what you want.
Son-in-law.
Just keep it clean. That's all we ask.
Yes, I know. Being a radio jock, I understand that.
I was going to touch on that.
Although I can play some stuff because my show goes past the Safe Harbor hour.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? What is
I play the blues, and it's a local radio station. I volunteer my time, and it's just a lot of fun. And, like I said, Tuesday nights, 9 to 11, called Mudcat Blues. It's my alter ego.
Yes, here with the Mississippi Mudcat.
My pseudonym. I'm the Mississippi Mudcat, and it's just a whole lot of fun.
Oh, we're getting a look at Kyle Shaw here. We saw Luke just clip the 10-pin for a spare, and we've got Kyle Shaw waiting in the wings, and a pair to the left. And I also noticed you brought a little grocery bag with you.
Oh yeah, I sell koozies to support Huntington's disease. Right. I had a father and 2 brothers I've lost through Huntington's disease, and me being lucky enough to escape such a horrible, it's a heinous disease, and it's once you're diagnosed with it, it's terminal. There is no cure. So the best I can do is sell koozies.
Try and raise some money for research.
And we've got some good research, some good results I heard from coming out of the UK. Oh. They're doing some experimental drugs, and it's sort of stopping the progression of the disease. So that's a good thing there. So like I said, all the proceeds that I get from selling the koozies, I donate to Huntington's disease. And also this year, Huntington's disease, because I am a radio host, I did a public service announcement for Huntington's disease, which is going to go national.
Great.
So I was pretty proud of that.
Oh, you're
happy.
doing your part for sure. Volunteering, keeping the blues alive.
Keeping the blues alive in Northwest Connecticut.
And trying to help find a cure for HD, Huntington's disease.
Like I said. Good friends with Woody Guthrie's son, Arlo, and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So,
and wasn't he also?
Yeah, he also was affected with Huntington's disease. Died at the age of 55 in 1967. And for those of you who aren't sure who Woody Guthrie is, you've heard the song "This Land Is Your Land," written by Woody Guthrie.
And his son Arlo?
Son Arlo did Alice's Restaurant.
Right.
Yes, a couple of famous guys there. Yes.
Absolutely.
And his son Abe plays with him, and he's got 2 daughters that have absolutely amazing voices.
So it definitely runs in the family.
Oh yeah.
Much like the bowling gene runs in the Deach family.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And it runs in my family too.
Oh yeah.
My daughter's no slouch.
Kristen Robostelli,
yes,
one of the top bowlers in Connecticut, married to Luke. Who we see.
She's funny. I always tell her she doesn't know how good she is. She really doesn't. She just bowls and has fun.
Yeah.
Hey, she's been high qualifier in the ladies' tour. She's had
I know she's finished second, unfortunately,
4 times.
A couple times.
4 times, second place.
Here's Luke.
Come on, Luke.
And avoids the 2 fill, but just a 3 load on his spare.
But the 3 isn't much better.
So that was he had a strike working in the 8th, spare in the strike in the 7th, spare in the 8th, fills it with 2. So he's at 110 after 8. Fills it with 3 for 110 after 8. Nice if you can cover the 7-pinner here.
Nice if you can pick this one up. Give him some going. Come on. And that's what can happen.
Can't get the 5 to slide over into the 7, so you can pick up this wood here. We have 120 in the 9th. And now we're looking at Jesse Deach shooting a single. He had a 73 in the 6th. He filled it with 9, looking at just the 4-pin here for a spare. So Jesse Deach with 82 in the 6th, trying to convert this 4-pin. And he covers it.
Yes, he covers it.
All right, we're going to take a short break here. Miles, thanks again for spending a little bit of time in the booth with us. And
it was fun.
Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, I'll be around, like I said, these nights.
And Yeah, thanks again, and we're going to take a short break here. We'll be back in just a minute to continue coverage of the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic.
Nick's become the biggest problem solver I ever know, you know? He's just, okay, I want to do that, so we're just going to figure out how we're going to do it. And honestly, I don't know how he figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated. McClellan's champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ring and 5 pin, and we have a tie.
And we're back. Duckpin TV, we're here. Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield, Connecticut. We're in the middle of the first block of Shift 3. It's the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. And on the screen here, we're going to be following the 10th frame of Luke Robustelli. He sits third after 3 games of this block. He has a 3-game score of 444. He has 120 in the 9th, so I'm sure he'd like to get at least 1 mark here in the 10th. Get 2 or maybe even over 140. Luke's game so far, 132, 141, 171. Luke actually finished in the top 10 here last year. He finished 10th in the 2017 edition of the Eastern Classic. A little light in the 1-3 and a little delayed messenger roundabout action to take out the 8-pin, leaving just the 7. So from heartbreak to promise. And sometimes that's what it is. You know, you get the deadwood to knock over an extra pin here or there, or give you an extra strike or two. You're on your way. And he takes advantage, covers it up for a spare in the 10th. So he's got 130 plus a ball. So he is at 574 with a ball to go. So, and in the background, you see Kyle Shaw. Leaves just the 5-pin. And that's 9 for 139, 4th game for Luke Robustelli. So he is at 583 for 4. Eric Leteska's 4th game was 130, so he is at 596. So he is the early 4-game clubhouse leader, just a tick under a 150 average. Luke behind him at 583. And now Jesse Deach trying to pass them both. He has 455 for his first 3. He was sitting second. He has 92 plus in the 7th, working on a spare. So he's got 3 big frames here to try and get to or over that magical 600 number. That's the 150 pace that we'll be talking about throughout the weekend. I'm sure he'd like to be at or above it at all times, but especially after this game. Andrew Willey pulling on lane 14 from Maryland. As you see on the scroll at the bottom of the screen here, unfortunately, we're dealing with an internet outage where We're providing you with some delayed coverage. We're recording and we'll be uploading this Friday night coverage, second weekend coverage, as quickly as we can. Hope to have the rest of it live streamed for you this weekend. And here's Jesse Deach in the 8th. And like Luke earlier, breaks up the split with some deadwood. Leaves just the 7-pin. And you're looking at the #1 bowler in the nation, top duck pinner, averaging 150 for the 2016-17 season. Also your reigning DPBA, Duckpin Pro Bowlers Association Bowler of the Year. Right in the face, as you'd expect. So it puts him at 111 plus in the 8th. So he's 31 pins above his box with 2 frames to go. And we have almost a full shift here as we pan across the lanes here at Lucky Strike Lanes. Almost a full shift for shift 3. I know shift 5 seems to be always the premier shift. That is absolutely full. Actually, I think there might be one opening, one last-minute opening. And here is Kyle Shaw. Oh. And the messenger couldn't tap out the 4-pin, so he'll have to cover that. He has a good game going, trying to read. It looks like he's in the 130s after 9. Looks like maybe 135 after 9. So the conversion there with the fill will put him over 150 and help him keep pace with the other 3 ahead of him. I'm going to take another quick break. We'll be back in a moment or two with more coverage of the 88th Eastern Classic.
The biggest problem solver I ever know, you know. He's just, okay, I want to do that, so we're just going to figure out how we're going to do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated and Collins champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5-pin, and we have a tie.
Jim Kaufman back here with Duckpin TV, our continuing coverage of the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic, Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield, Connecticut. It's Friday night, and you're watching delayed coverage of Shift 3. We're in the second weekend of this 2-weekend tournament. Best 12-game score is declared the champion. Unfortunately, we've got internet outages in the area. We've had a lot of wind and rain and bluster. So this is on a delay, but we want to show you a replay of Jesse Deach, what he did in the 9th frame while we were on break. He had 111 plus going into the 9th and filling a spare. What did he do? Crushed it. I can assure you that 7-pin that wasn't in the view was not there for long. Basically 1 pin shy of 10 in the pit, so he's got 131 plus in the 9th. And he is just a good fill away from taking over the 4-game lead on this shift. It's a bit of a log jam, and Jesse looks like he has a really good chance of cracking the 600 number for 4. Earlier, Luke Robustelli. Earlier, he had the 7-8, and we had Wood take out the 8-pin. On that ball, took them both out. Luke sitting with a 4-game total of 583. And Jesse Deach right now has 586 with a fill and a frame to go. So he will bypass Luke. And earlier this evening, Eric Leteska with a big game. He had a 206, and I believe this is one of the strikes from that 206 game. He had a 4-timer towards the end to break 200. And he is also among the leaders. Eric has 596 for 4. He's been very consistent except for that 206. He has had games of 130, 206, 130, and 130 to total 596. So, again, Jesse, a good chance of bypassing Eric for 4. And we will be getting our first extended look, I think, at Kyle Shaw, who bowls out of this house, this center, Lucky Strike Lanes, also the manager here. Also finished 3rd each of the last 2 years at the Eastern. And Kyle's 4-game total is 588. So he's quietly creeping up on the top 3. And we're just waiting to see what Jesse's going to do in the 10th. We're looking at Walt Leteska on lane 16 from Connecticut. Walt had filling a spare there on the 9th with 7, so he has 110. Walt has 351 for his first 3 games. Looking to convert the 124. Bowls out of Holiday Lanes in Manchester, Connecticut. And he trips the 4 off the wall for a spare in the 10th. So he'll have 120 plus a ball. And it looks like Jesse will wait for Walt to finish up his game before Jesse finishes his own. And again, Jesse working on a strike. He has 131 plus a strike in the 9th. So another strike here. He can put a little bit of distance between him and the other 3 leaders on this block, on this shift. Wow. Sounded like a crusher. He had to wait a second for the 9 to get tripped up, which it did. Fell forward on its face. And he is doubled in the 9th and 10th. Here's a replay of that crusher. A little bit of a hook spin, I believe, on his ball. Flush in the 1-2, and the 9 gets toppled. So Jesse's 2 strikes away from 181, so he could be as high as 636 after his first 4 games, depending on these last 2 balls that he throws. He's at 151 plus this ball. And now he has 161 with 1 last ball. So he can max out at 181 and put about 40 pins between himself and the next highest scorer on shift 3. Crusher. Waiting for his ball to come back here. I'd wait too, I guess. Those first 2 balls thrown like that. Got to wonder if this extended wait for his ball might upset his rhythm or not. What's he thinking about? Or is he trying maybe not to think and just keep his mind clear? third generation, at least a third generation top flight bowler, as Miles Kincannon was talking about earlier. You had the great Jimmy Deach and Dale Deach. In the bloodline with Jesse here. So he's looking to max out his 10th frame. Four-timer? No four-timer. Leaves the solid 7, but finishes 999 for 180. 635 for 4. Jesse had only 63 through the first 5 frames of that game. 117 his last 5. Here's a replay of that last ball. Well, that's the first ball, actually, in the 10th. We got the 9 to topple. Fist pump. And strike number 2. Little hop to start his approach. Down and through. No doubt about that one. Fist pump. And just the tail end of that third one where left the stubborn 7. Oh, it looks like we're going to get the full view of that third ball in the 10th. But a lot of drive coming through that ball. Hopping, looking for the trip of the 7, doesn't get it. Only cost him a pin. He says, that's okay. I'll take a 180. So that vaults Jesse over Eric Latesco. And well out in front. 635 for 4. Let me get my calculator out here. He's only a third of the way through his tournament, but if you take 635 divided by 4, that's almost a 159 average. If he can carry this pace through 12 games, he's at a 1900 pace right now. He's at a pace of 1905. Can he keep it up? And now we've got a little side-by-side action between Kyle Shaw on the left, who just covered that 10 pin for a spare to start his 5th game, and you have Luke Robustelli on the right on lane 15. Again, Kyle 588 through 4, Luke 583. Both of them looking up in the standings at Jesse Deach 635. And looks like we're picking up Luke's first frame, so wants to get off to a good start. Luke is a Pro Tour winner. Hits heavy, but breaks up the split, leaves just the 3 pin. As we mentioned before, son-in-law to Miles Kincannon, who we had in the booth, the Mississippi Mudcat. Married to Kristen Kincannon Robustelli. Also a Pro Tour bowler. Ooh, a little wide. Maybe came around that ball a little more than he does put a lot of spin on the ball. Looks like he came around it more than coming through it. So not the way he wanted to start his game 5. And angrily smashes the 3 for a 10 bucks. All right, we're going to take this opportunity for a quick break in the action. And we'll be back to you in a minute or two with more coverage of the 88th Eastern Classic here on Duckpin TV.
I think Nick's become the biggest problem solver I ever know, you know? He's just... okay, I want to do that, so we're just going to figure out how we're going to do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie, 8 pins or less He's eliminated and Collins champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ring and 5-pin, and we have a tie.
Jim Kaufman here with Duckpin TV. You're watching coverage of the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. Always coming from Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield, Connecticut. Longest running duckpin tournament we have in our sport. And we are in game 5. We're watching shift 3. This is their 5th game of 12 games. Highest score wins. We just saw Jesse Deach convert a single pin for a 10 box to start his 5th game. He is our shift leader with a score of 635 through 4. We'll be checking in with him. We're zooming in right there on the back of Kyle Shaw. He's talking with Sean Leteska. Kyle Shaw is another one of the leaders. He is at 588 through 4. So he's a game behind. Actually, a game behind Eric Leteska. Eric Leteska all the way down on 1 and 2. So he's out of the camera view. His group is bowling at a faster pace, but normally I'm the one who runs around and collects scores. Our executive producer, Brian Ewing, was kind enough to go run down and check on Eric. Eric had a 160 his 5th game, giving him a 5-game total of 756. So he's over a 150 average. But again, they're all looking up in the standings at Jesse Deach, who has a 635 total through 4. So Jesse's going to need a 122 to keep the lead away from Eric. And let's take a look here. We have Dean. I'm going to butcher his last name, Vertifoy, I believe, from Connecticut. He's a bowler here at Lucky Strike Lanes, finishing up. And now we've got Kyle Shaw on lane 13, manager here at Lucky Strike Lanes. Top bowler in Connecticut, as well as one of the top bowlers in the country. In Connecticut, it's usually Kyle Shaw and John Zekas, 1 and 2, or vice versa. Kyle has finished third each of the last 2 years at the Eastern, wanting to improve on that than those results, I'm sure. Looks like Kyle had a spare in the first frame of the 5th game, and he's looking to fill it here in the 2nd. It's about as good as you can fill it. So he's at 30 plus in the 2nd. Shook the camera off its mooring. That crusher. Not the same velocity as Jesse or Luke, but scared the camera. So Luke Robustelli had left the 710 and covers the wood. So he's got 20 through 2. Not the best start. Missed a single, left the 710. Got Nick Harmel now from Maryland here on lane 15. Nick with 467 through his first 4 games. Filling a spare with 9. So he's got 19 in the first. Here's a replay of Kyle's bomb. And the 6 and 10 were out of the camera view, but they were gone. There was nothing to look at, even if you could have seen it. That was a no-doubter. And the shockwaves of that strike sent the camera towards the ceiling. Just to recap, we're on delayed coverage here. Internet outage in the area due to heavy wind and rain has knocked out the internet here. So we are recording And you'll be watching this on a delay on Facebook on the Duckpin TV page. Hopefully when we're back here Saturday morning, internet will be back up and functional, and we'll be able to provide you with live coverage of shifts 3, 4, and 5 and present to you the champion of this year's Eastern Classic. We'll also have additional people in the booth. We'll have Eric Leteska on Saturday, and then probably on Sunday when he's not bowling. We'll have Pat Rufo. I think we're going to have Tom Dominique. A combination of all these great commentators coming in and out of the booth. I'll be running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to keep everyone up to date with scores and maybe some footage of bowlers who are off camera. But Kyle Shaw, 30 in the second, working on a strike. Solid 9 drop, leaves just the 5. And we were talking earlier about Eric Leteska's form, where Eric's basically the mirror image of Kyle. Eric comes in from the left corner with backup. Kyle comes in from the right corner. He might turn the ball over slight. There might be a slight amount of hook spin, but really he derives his pin action from creating an angle into the head pin into the pocket. Covers it up as he normally does. So he's got 20 in the first, 20 in the second, and a spare in the third. Keeping pace as best he can with Jesse Deach, Luke Robustelli, and Eric Leteska. Speaking of Luke, here he is, trying to get his 5th game started. He's got 20 in the second, 2 10 boxes. And a rip of the 1-5-9. Tough start for Luke. Miss a single, split, rep the middle. So you got to wonder, is he going to try and make something happen here? Or is he just looking to get the wood? Probably a little bit of both. Play the outside of that 3-pin and maybe hit it light enough to kick over to the left side of the pin formation, but still has 4 pins up. Wants to keep deadwood clean through 3. Oh, 1 short. 29 through 3 for Luke. See the frustration in his body language there coming off the lane. And Jesse Deach back in the camera. Wearing the Sunday red on a Friday night. Again, Jesse has 20 plus in the second. He's working on a spare in the second frame. 635 for his first 4, nearly a 159 average. I'm sure he'd love to keep that pace up. But it's a long tournament. He's only a third of the way through it. Finished 4 games of 12. In the distance, you see Josh Lowell there. Oh, we're going to pan over and catch Jesse's 3rd frame. Gone. You have the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. That's gone in 0.6 seconds. But Jesse stays hot. He's got 40 plus a strike in the 3rd. You got to wonder. I wonder if they know what the other top bowlers have. Here's a replay of that crush. Down and through. Hammers the 1-3, and they're gone in a hurry. A lot of people say that Lucky Strike lanes maybe not the best scoring house, but you put the ball in the pocket with that type of velocity and drive, it doesn't really matter where you're bowling. The pins are going to fall. It's just physics. Jesse makes it look easy there. Here's John De Palma, one of the 2 defending champions in the field tonight, opening with a triple, a turkey, a 3-bagger. He won this tournament in 1976. He's still bowling it 42 years later. proprietor of a duckpin house, one of the few duckpin centers in Massachusetts, up in North Chelmsford. Kyle, Western Union, Messenger, crosses over, takes out the 7-pin. And Kyle has started 10 box, strike, spare, strike. So he has 60 plus in the fourth. Here's a replay. Doesn't throw the ball quite as hard as your Jesse Deitches, but maybe more likely to leave pins up on the deck. Gets that pin action. The flying duck takes out the 7 for Kyle. Back to Luke. Wants to get something started here. 3 opens for his first 3 frames of Game 5. Oh, better ball, a little heavy. Unlucky, leaves the 6-7. So that missed single in the first kind of opened up the floodgates. Where he's gone 7-10, ripped the middle, and now the 6-7 in the fourth frame. Really all you can do here is just clean up the wood, keep yourself as close to even as possible, and wait for the marks. In the background, you've got Jesse Deitch. Will he get the rollout? Not enough juice in that duck to take out the 5-pin. He's not working on a strike. He has 40 plus the strike in the third. So coverage here will get him to 60 plus in the fourth. And he knew it as soon as he threw it. A little come on, he said. Misses it to the right. First one we've seen him miss on camera. Covers for 10. See if John DePalma is afraid of the ham bone. He's working on a triple, looking for the 4-timer on lane 16. He's got the plaid collared shirt with another shirt underneath. Personally, I find it hard to bowl not only in a button down, but a long sleeve, and he's doing both. Strike in the first, strike in the second, strike in the third. And off the side, lucky to get 5. But that's definitely a makeable conversion for John. On to Kyle now, working on a strike in the fourth of his own. Couldn't quite see there, but it looks like it was a light hit that didn't cooperate. Leaves the 5, 6, 10. I'm sure he's just looking to cover the 2 on the right for the fill and through the hole. Always disheartening, especially when you're on your strike. When you're on strike, anything you hit counts double because it counts towards the fill of your strike and then towards the box as well. Didn't get anything. Does cover the 2 for a 9 box. He's at 86 halfway through his 5th game. And executive producer Brian Ewing queuing up one of Kyle's strikes. I believe that was the 2nd frame strike. Set him on his way. Started this 5th game with 4 marks in a row. Just saw the open in the 5th. Dean converts the 1-4-7. And now the form of Jesse Deitch. One of his many strikes up to this point. He is your early leader. Long way to go, though. But he's also one of the favorites to win this tournament. And that start can only help his odds. And waiting for Luke Robustelli to start his fifth frame. 4 opens to start. He's at 39 in the fourth. And a 4-game total of 583. So he was sitting fourth going into this game on this shift. Hard not to press in these situations when you know that there's other people bowling better around you. And you've already got 4 opens to start a game. You really can't afford to have an extended bad stretch. You really don't want to have a bad game, although you can make up for it in a 12-game tournament, but you'd rather keep pace with the leaders all the way through so you don't have to play catch-up at the end. Another heavy hit, but breaks up the split and leaves just the 4 pins. So this is his first spare break since the first frame, which unfortunately he had missed. So this is a big spot in the game for Luke here. We'll get a replay of that. Again, heavy in the 1-3, but breaks up the split, and no doubt on the coverage there. So a step in the right direction for Luke. And now we're back to Jesse, who had missed his spare, his single pin, the last time we caught up with him, and makes up for it, converting the baby split, the 2-5-7. So Jesse, 69 plus in the fifth. And we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with the conclusion of this fifth game here at the 88th Eastern Classic.
Become the biggest problem solver I ever know, you know. He's just, okay, I want to do that, so we're just going to figure out how we're going to do it. And honestly, I don't know how we figured out how to do the duck pin, but everybody tells me it's simply amazing. He just figured it out on his own.
Mulvihill needs to beat that 163 to win this match. So that means putting a strike on this. 9 pins will tie. 8 pins or less, he's eliminated and becomes champion.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Mulvihill throws another great ball on the head pin, leaves a ringing 5 pin, and we have a tie.
And we're back, Duckpin TV. You are watching coverage of the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Duckpin Eastern Classic. Actually, it's the Eastern Duckpin Classic. Lucky Strike Lanes, Mansfield, Connecticut. Just saw Kyle Shaw convert a 4-pin spare. He's among your leaders. This is shift 3. This is the second of 2 weekends of bowling. Everyone bowls 12 games. The highest score without handicap, just the highest pure 12-game total wins the tournament. Very few tournaments in this that still are in this format. It's a scratch tournament. And in front of the mountains, I'm not sure what mountains those are. Is that Kilimanjaro, Everest, Mount Southington? I don't know. But we're waiting for Jesse Deach here. Luke Robustelli, that was his first ball, drops 9, leaving just a 7-pin. Trying to make something of this game. He had 4 opens, finally broke through with a spare in the 5th, covered it, or filled it with 9, so he's got 58 through 5. And a 7-pin to cover here. And he balks. Runners do not advance. He looks like he's going to wait for Jesse to throw his first ball. Little courtesy. Jesse fills a spare, rips for 7. And Luke is not iced. He converts his second 1-pin spare in a row. So he's at 68 plus through 6. With that 7 fill, Jesse has 76 through 5. He is your 4-game leader. This will be the final few minutes of our second hour of coverage. We're coming up on the 11 o'clock hour here. You'll be watching this later than 11, or maybe early Saturday morning, depending on when we get internet back. But we will be back Saturday morning, hopefully with live streamed coverage on Facebook for you. This great tournament that we've been covering for a number of years now. Again, we want to thank everyone for their recent donations, everyone that donated to our GoFundMe campaign. We wouldn't have been able to have provided this coverage for you this weekend if not for all of that great support. Kyle's wide shoulders blocked out that first ball, leaves just a 7-pin. He has more than 100. The telescore's a little fuzzy, but he's got 100, more than 100 through 6. I can tell that. It's like maybe 105. He has 105 through 6. And Kyle clips the 7 for yet another spare. So he's got 115 plus after 7. Just to give you a final recap here on Friday night. First set of fireworks were shot off by Eric Leteska. He had 130 his first game, but caught fire the second game. You're watching one of his 4 consecutive strikes. He had finished the game with a 4-bagger, leading to a great 206 game. That's kind of carried him through his 5 games of qualifying. He has 756 for his first 5. Here's another strike from that 206 game. Very methodical. That pendulum swing, great timing. Knee bend extension, splash. But not to be outdone, Jesse Deach doesn't have a 200 game yet, but he has a great string of games. I believe this was from his 4th game where he went off with a late triple. And his final ball might be where he was looking for the 4-bagger to finish the game. Powerful follow through. Oh, that's the first one in the 10th. I know that. That was the first strike he threw in the 10th where the 9-pin got its head chopped off. And then we have Luke Robustelli also among the leaders. He has 583 through his first 4. Broke up the 7-8. It's like he's had a lot of initial splits. Some of them stayed up. Some he's broken up. That one he broke up for a strike. His games are 132, 141, 171, 139 for a 4-game total of 583. And then we have Kyle Shaw in the lead pack. Kyle with 588 for his first 4. Games of 129, 139, 169, and 151. And he's got a great game going in his 5th game. So he's going to stay among the leaders. Little messenger action earlier from Kyle. So the strikes are flying. Scores are up. We have a 4-horse race here in shift 3. Thanks again for watching us here on our Facebook page. Please like and follow us. We'll be back Saturday morning with more coverage, planning on live stream coverage for the rest of the weekend. So when you get up tomorrow, make some coffee, get the popcorn ready, and tune in to Duckpin TV on Facebook for continuing coverage of the 88th Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. See you tomorrow.